Hello everyone. Well, I think this may be my first video of 2024, so if I've not said so already, Happy New Year. Of course, lots more videos to come this year, and probably for the foreseeable future. I've got a few videos planned, but this one I wanted to get out of the way while I had my 270 out. And basically, in this video, I wanted to show you how to enter, store, and delete patterns using your Brother KH270 electronic chunky machine. And I'll also show you how to use the stitch pattern cartridge extras as a little bonus at the end of the video. The 270 is an electronic machine based on the 260 punch card machine. What's the advantage of the 270? Well, of course, with it being electronic, it gives you the freedom of being able to pattern on the entire 114 needles on the needle bed. So your pattern can be any width from 1 stitch to 114 stitches, and oddball numbers like 5, 7, 13, 11, whatever. Something like that on a punch card wouldn't be doable. Large width patterns and odd shape patterns that are odd number repeats rather. And of course you have the variation keys and being able to enter patterns quickly using the cartridge and computer software if you have it. Now in this video I'll be showing you how to enter patterns using the built-in console on the 270 and also with the PPD, or otherwise known pattern programming device. Now, I'm not going to show you how to use DesignerKnit to save patterns to this machine or other computer software because I don't use it. I'll just be showing you the old school methods because that's what I use. An important thing to note about the 270's console is that it's identical to the console that was on the 940, which is an older model. The only difference with the 270's console is it has the cartridge section over here, but from there on the console is identical both in appearance and functionality to the Brother 940. Why am I telling you that? Well, the reason being is because the 270 has a 940 console interface, the 940 being an older model, that any jacquard patterns that you do with the ribber, so double bed jacquard, you'll only be able to automatically separate 2 colours per row. So if you want to knit any multicolour per row jacquard on this 270 machine, you'll have to separate the colours in the chart before you enter them into the machine or save them, load them, whatever, to the memory of the machine so you can knit them. When you press the KRC button on the 270, it will only separate the 2 colours per row. So 3 4-colour in a row patterns you'll have to manually separate before saving them to the memory of the machine to knit. However, any of your standard punch card patterns like this one here, or any black and white square charts that are standard Fair Isle tuck stitch, lace, anything like that will be absolutely fine to enter as is, because the 270 recognises 2 colour patterns, in other words black and white squares. So you can take your punch card designs if you like and enter them into the machine's memory. You don't have to put in the entire punch card, which in this case of this one is 24 stitches wide, of course, and 60 rows long. You only have to put in 1 repeat. With this being an electronic machine, it will automatically repeat the width and the length just from 1 repeat of the pattern. There's no need in putting the entire punch card repeat, because our electronic machine will magically continue to repeat the pattern in both directions. Of course, you can follow printed charts like this, which are any size up to 114 stitches wide, and usually within 998 rows. So you don't just have to use punch cards, of course, but you know, any charts that you see, you can manually enter. If you're going to copy from a punch card, what you need to do is you need to find the repeat of the pattern. 1 repeat. This one is 12 stitches and 16 rows. Be careful not to follow the numbers on the punch card because of course there's usually 7 or 5, depending if it's a Silver Reed or Brother Toyota card, below number 1. So make sure you either count them manually or include these rows below 1 at the bottom of the card, so you don't end up entering your design and finding you haven't got enough rows to finish the repeat. So this is 12 stitches wide and 16 rows long, and you can copy it straight from the punch card, but you may find it more convenient to put it onto graph paper. I've made a crude little chart there of that single repeat, but that is one repeat of this whole punch card pattern. So to enter this design using the built-in console on the Brother 270, first of all turn the machine on. There may or may not be a number on the main display. There usually is, but because I've wiped the user memory that had the user input patterns, the display is now blank because it's factory reset basically. The machine assumes that it's new, but usually there's a number on the display when you turn the machine on. It's irrelevant, I just thought I'd let you know. Come over to the input section and press the input button, and the input indicator light comes on adjacent to it. If we go over to the main display here, the pattern number light's on and it says 901. Yours may have a different number. Depending on whether you have patterns already stored in the memory, it will give you a different pattern number. But from 901 to 998 are the memory storage for your own patterns on the 270. You can have either 199,600 pattern stitches or 98 pattern numbers, whichever is used up first. So larger pattern designs that are large in both width and height will take up more memory space. So you may end up with less pattern numbers before the storage is full. But for smaller patterns, you'll have up to 98 pattern numbers before the memory is full. So make sure you write down this number that's said here on the display, 901, because otherwise you'll end up with a bunch of pattern numbers that you don't know what they are. So 901 is the pattern number it's going to allocate to this design I'm about to enter. That's fine. Press step. The stitch indicate light comes on. It's asking how many stitches wide is my pattern. You can see it's 12. Enter 12, press step. The machine on the main display says 998. Again, you may have a smaller number than that, depending on how large your design is and how much storage space is left in the memory. It may only offer you a certain number of rows, but 998 is the maximum that the memory will allow. So it's saying I can design on 998 rows if I wish. That's how much space there is for that number of stitches for this pattern. Well, I don't need 998, do I? I only need 16. So I press cancel entry, CE, and enter 16. Press step. The display shows 1 and the row indicator light comes on. It's asking us to input row 1 of this design. And we do that using the black and white keys here. And each time we press the black key, it will be displayed as a red light on these 9, 10 lights here. When we press a white button, it will appear blank or no light. So of course, as we press the black and white buttons, the stitch indicator light will come on, and the various stitches on that row will continue to increase as we're getting towards further into the row. So you can see on the chart here, the first 7 stitches are filled in. So we press the black button 7 times. You see the stitch indicator light is on. These are the buttons we've just pressed here. The filled in squares are represented by the black button. So I've just pressed it 4 times. It's saying, what's stitch 5? Tell me what stitch 5 is. That's a filled in square. What's stitch 6? Well, that's a filled in square, and so forth. So I've got 7 lights lit. So 7 is the number of filled in squares. The rest of the row is blank. So I can simply just press the up button. I don't need to press the white button 5 times. And it's the same here until row 8. So I'll just do the same thing. Oops, if we press the wrong one, we press the back arrow and press white like that, and that will clear that number. Next row. So everything's the same here until row 9. There we are, row 9. So row 9 is a black square on stitch 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 white squares, and then 6 black squares. And you can see when you get to the end of the row, it makes a loud beep. It didn't do it before because I was just advancing because there was no more data for the rest of the row. But if you fill in the whole row, when you get to the last stitch and enter the data for the last stitch, it will make a long beep, so you know that you've finished that row. So everything's the same here for the preceding rows. That's why I picked this simple pattern. And it makes an even longer beep at the end of the repeat. So now if we were to press up, it won't let us go any further, and we've finished entering the information. Now all we have to do is press the input light again, and the indicator light on the input there goes off. Now when we go to knit that design, we press step. In this case it's already appeared on the display, but if it didn't, we would just call up that number 901, press step, tells us the needle position, and we're ready to knit it. And that is entering patterns with the console itself. If you need memo information for your pattern, it's very easy to do within the console of the machine. Turn the machine on and enter the pattern that you need the memo information. Say it was on 905. Once the pattern is entered and the ready light is lit, press the memo button. The memo light appears there next to the memo button, and the row indicator light comes on. Now you can use the up and down arrows to scroll to the row that you need to add the memo information and press the relevant number that you need. So if it's colour 2, press 2, and it will appear in the memo display. We continue to go up. Say it was on row 10 and we needed colour 5. This is just completely random. It's just to give you the idea. 14, maybe we need colour 1. And we just continue scrolling through until we get to the end of the pattern. Like that. When we've finished putting the memo information, we just press the memo key again, and we're back to the pattern. Now if we scroll through the row numbers, you can see that memo information will appear as we knit. So to delete a singular pattern, switch the machine on, and with the ready light on, press the input button on the input section, and the input indicator light comes on. Now it's telling me my next pattern number to design on is 952. So there are 51 patterns already stored in the memory of this machine. Now say for instance I wanted to delete pattern number 925. Perhaps I'd done it wrong, or it's a larger pattern that I don't need anymore and it'll free up some memory for a few more patterns or a new design. So I want to delete 925. So After we've pressed the input button and the input light's on, we're going to cancel entry on the pattern number it's going to offer us there. That clears the display. Now enter this pattern number that we want to delete, in this example 925, then press the C key on the input section and that pattern number disappears. Turn the input light off and the pattern is deleted. Next time we enter a pattern on the machine or save a pattern to the machine, the next pattern number it will give us is 925. The reason it does this is it keeps the numbers in order in the machine. So after it's done 925, then it will go back to 952, etc. But that pattern is now deleted. So to delete all the patterns in the memory, turn the machine on. If there's a number in the display, press CE to clear the display. Enter 888, press step. It has a think about it, and the ready light will come back on as soon as it's deleted all the information from your user stored patterns. It takes about a minute. Okay, the ready light reappears, and you can turn the machine off, turn it back on, and we're left with a fresh machine. The machine thinks that it's just come straight from the factory. All we have now are the built-in patterns and nothing else. So when we press the input button, it offers 901 as the first pattern number. A fresh start. This is the Stitch Pattern Cartridge 3. There were 3 cartridges for the PPD that came with the devices themselves. There was the Cartridge 1, which came with the PPD 100, Cartridge 2 came with the PPD 110, and Cartridge 3 came with PPD 120, but all these cartridges can be used on any of the PPD consoles. So once you've hooked up the PPD to your television, turn it on, and you're greeted with the pattern programming device main display. This may look different depending on which model you have, or which cartridge you're using, should I say. Press the step key, and we go for number 1 to create new pattern. Press step, and the situation is similar to the console on board the machine. Our pattern was 12 stitches wide. Press step. How many rows? Again, it's giving us up to 998. Well, mine was 16. Press step. Press 1. Yes, that's fine. And there's our little chart. And then we use the draw button on the console of the PPD and the arrow keys to move around the design. You can see this isn't necessarily faster, but you can see everything that's going on. Once we've finished the design, as you can see, we can see exactly what we've just designed there, which if we compare that to our little pattern here, it's exactly the same. So once we've finished designing our pattern, we press the help button and we enter 1, which is end creation, press step, and that is the pattern stored in the cartridge. Turn the PPD off and safely remove the cartridge from the pattern programming device. To enter memo information on the PPD, when we're in the main menu, we go for number 4, which is memo information, and we select the pattern that we want to add the memo information to. There is only one pattern on this cartridge, so we'll just use that one, which is the pattern I've just shown you in the video. And we use the up arrows to go to the relevant row that we want to add the memo information to, and press the relevant number for whichever colour we want, or how many rows we need to knit, or whatever. And it's the same thing as using the machine's console. And when we get to the end, we can press the help key and we're back to the pattern page, if you like, and press the help key again to get back to the main menu. And now when we go to load the patterns from the cartridge to the machine, the memo information will automatically be stored along with that pattern. So to load the patterns on the cartridge, lift up the little flap here that's in between the console and the row counter and put the PPD cartridge in straight down with the lettering on the cartridge facing you. Make sure that the machine is switched off when you do this. Push it in until it clicks. Switch the machine on and press the load key on the cartridge section here. A number appears in the display. This means it's track 1 that these patterns are loading from. That's fine. All we need to do now is press execute. The load light flashes for a few seconds and then the machine will beep. The number on the display goes out. Now we can turn the machine off and remove the cartridge. When we turn the machine back on and we press input, you can see it offers us 902, so that pattern number 901 was successfully loaded to the machine. And we can even go to the check on the input section. Oops, making sure we have the ready light there. Check 901 step. Yep, 12 stitches wide, 16 rows long, and we can use the up arrow to check the design. And you can see that is exactly what we had before. So turn the check light off, and there we go. Now before I go, as I said, I would give you a little bonus at the end of the video on using the Stitch Pattern Cartridge Extras. And the patterns on this cartridge are all the patterns that you can find in the Volume 5 Brother Punch Card pattern book. And it does come with this manual for using the cartridge, and you do need this because you need to know what the track numbers are for the cartridge and what the pattern numbers are for the punch card numbers in the book. So at the back of it does tell you how, in the manual here, how you should be able to download this if you don't have it. But this book should come with the cartridge. There is information on how to use the cartridge in the book, but I'll just run through it in the video for you. So all the numbers in the A columns here, the shaded columns, are the punch card numbers in the book. Every punch card has its number, as you can see in this book. The B column is the track numbers they're saved to. And the C column are the pattern numbers that these punch card patterns are saved to. So punch card 34, that's labelled 34 in the Volume 5 book, will be stored on pattern 904 when you transfer it to the machine. So for instance, let's say we want to load track 14 of the cartridge. We wanted to knit pattern 459. We'll go with that one. So pattern 459 is not far from here actually. Hang on. It's gone past it. There it is. Pattern 459. So we think, oh, I like that pattern, we'll knit that one. We go to our little manual here that comes with the cartridge extras. We find the pattern number from the book, which was 459. It's on track 14 and it will be pattern number 905 when you come to knit it. So if you can see here, when we load the track 14, it will load all these patterns from 455 to 505, and they will be from pattern numbers 901 to 951. So on other machines like the 970 and the 965, you can load individual patterns from this cartridge, but on the 940, the 270, 950i, you have to load the entire track. So again, we'll get the book out the way so I can show you. So with the pattern cartridge extras instruction manual in front of us, so we have the information from the cheat sheet at the back. With the machine off, insert the stitch pattern cartridge extras. Again, bear in mind that it will delete or overwrite any of the patterns that are already stored in the memory of your machine. So make sure you're prepared to do this before loading any patterns on the 270 from the cartridge, whichever cartridge it may be. The stitch pattern cartridge extras is inserted now, so we press the on button, press load, and a number appears in the display. Well, that pattern that we mentioned that we might want to knit, which was 459, is on track 14. So we press cancel entry and enter 14, that's the track we want to load. Press step and then press the execute button. And the load light flashes for a few seconds and it will beep to signal that it's loaded the designs. The display goes blank. Now we can turn the machine off and remove the stitch pattern cartridge extras. And now when we want to knit that design that was punch card 459 from this track 14, we just call up pattern number 905 next time we want to knit it. And that's that. That whole track 14 is now saved in the memory of the machine. And just for fun, I knitted that sample that I loaded from the punch card volume 5 pattern book from the stitch pattern cartridge extras. So there you go. Hopefully you found this video useful on how to input, load, delete, and use the stitch pattern cartridge extras on the Brother KH270. Thanks very much for watching and hope you found this video helpful. Take care.